Imagine being 14 years old, barely a teenager. One moment, you're playing outside, and the next, you're being dragged into the depths of a nightmare you don't understand. This is the story of George Stinney Jr., the youngest person executed in the United States in the 20th century. A boy whose life was stolen by injustice. It was 1944, in the small town of Alcolu, South Carolina. A town divided by race, where black and white communities were separated by railroad tracks. Two white girls, Betty June Binnicker, 11, and Mary Emma Timms, 7, went missing. A desperate search led to their bodies being found in a ditch, brutally murdered. The town wanted justice, but instead of an investigation, they wanted a scapegoat. And they found one, 14-year-old George Stinney Jr. George was arrested while he was at home with his little sister. His parents? Nowhere near. They had been forced to leave. George was taken to the police station alone, without a lawyer, without any family, and without protection. For hours, police questioned him. There was no written record of the interrogation, no evidence, and no witnesses. And yet, they claimed George had confessed. A 14-year-old boy, scared and alone, accused of a crime that shocked the town. Less than 2 months later, George was put on trial. It lasted 2 hours. Yes, just 2 hours. The all-white jury took only 10 minutes to decide his fate. Guilty. Sentenced to death. June 16, 1944. George was taken to the electric chair. His tiny body was too small for the straps, too small for the mask that barely fit over his face. They had to adjust it, but it slipped off when they flipped the switch, exposing the fear in his young eyes. 4,000 volts surged through his body. In just 4 minutes, it was over. George Stinney Jr. was dead. Decades later, people looked closer at the case. No real evidence. No confession. No justice. In 2014, 70 years later, a judge overturned his conviction, declaring George Stinney innocent. Too late. A boy's life had already been taken. George Stinney Jr. wasn't just a name in history. He was a child. A victim of a system that saw his skin before his innocence. His story isn't just a story, but a one of late justice. It's about the truth. As we continue to grow in our society today, let us all know that history should never be forgotten. However, if only they could be rewritten or flipped.